world? It's your boy Vic XL. This is the Ridin Durty Show, the Ridin Durty Podcast. We bridge the gap between hip-hop and everyday life. We're bringing you what's next and new, but we're bringing it to you right now. The first thing I got to do is, I done this last night, and I'm going to do it again tonight, and I might do it for a long time. I got to give a moment of silence for the legendary Kobe Bryant, his daughter Gigi, and the 7 other passengers that was on the helicopter that crashed Sunday morning. All right? All right. Bless up to Kobe Bryant and his entire family. May the Creator keep you and hold you tight in this moment of tragedy. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Ridin Durty Show, Ridin Durty Podcast. Today is January the 28th. Real quick, I got to run over some celebrity birthdays. I don't have a lot, but got to give them to you. Got to say happy birthday to Dreamville's own, North Carolina's own, Mr. J. Cole. J. Cole turns 35 years old today. Happy birthday, sir. Also got to say happy birthday to Rose. Rick Ross, the boss, turns 44 years old today. Happy birthday, sir. Also got to say happy birthday to NBA great, 2-time NBA champion Andre Iguodala, turns 36 years old today. And last but not least, I got to say happy birthday to the God, the aura, MC legend Rakim, turns 52 years old today. Definitely happy birthday to those great men. And I always tell you guys, a great way to say happy birthday to an entertainer is by checking out some of his work, listening to their music, watching their videos, and if you follow them on social media, definitely wish them a happy birthday and let them know that you heard about it right here on the Ridin Durty Show. All right, definitely again, happy birthday to everybody. Again, everybody, please keep the Bryant family in your prayers. All right, gotta say, everybody, man, y'all definitely keep your TVs tuned and locked. You know, always, my man 50 Cent is on the move. You know, next week is the last episode of Power, and definitely be on the lookout for his new series, Power Book 2, Ghost, but also make sure you check out his new series entitled For Life. All right? Please check out the series For Life, executive produced by my man 50 Cent. Definitely be on the lookout for that. Also, man, y'all make sure y'all check out our amazing sponsors. One time for the good people over at WeBlazingHipHop.com, the internet's #1 hip-hop and R&B station. One time for Liquor Lollipops over at LiquorLollipops.com, a premium hard candy designed to taste like your favorite alcoholic beverage. And last but not least, one time for the good people at the I'm So Shirt Company. All right, make sure you check them out at the I'mSoShirt.com. All right, t-shirts designed for you, with you in mind, to rep who you are and where you are. All right, again, check them out at the I'mSoShirt.com. All right, always make sure, man, if you check out our sponsors, let them know you heard about them right here on the Ridin Durty Show, and tell them what's good from your boy Vic XL. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I'm not going to talk you too long because I have a very dope author on the line. I definitely want to talk to her. She's written quite a few children's books, and I definitely want to pick her brain. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, tonight is no different than any other night on the Ridin Durty Show. We bring you some of the hottest guests in the world, the movers and shakers, the entrepreneurs, the entertainers, the artists, the philanthropists. Ladies and gentlemen, again, tonight is no different than any other night on the Ridin Durty Show. So welcome to the Ridin Durty platform, author BriAnna Reshae. What's going on, ma'am?
Hi, how are you doing tonight?
I am doing amazing. You know, I've been having a rough time. I'm a huge fan of Kobe Bryant, so I feel like I lost a little brother. But besides that, I'm blessed to be here.
Yes, we all are. We all are.
All right, so look, let's start this wonderful journey because I always love talking to people, to authors, but I even really love more talking to people that have written books that are geared towards the children. But before we even get into your writings and your books, let the world know where Miss BriAnna Reshae is from and what your childhood was like growing up in your area.
Well, I am from Indianapolis, Indiana. And childhood, well, originally half of my childhood was in Oklahoma City. That's where I'm from. And the other part, of course, is here in Indianapolis, Indiana. So it was a lot of obstacles I faced as a child. So that's kind of what inspired me to write. But I was kind of going from just not getting along really with my mother. My dad was absent in my life, so I kind of went through a lot of obstacles mentally as a child, and I moved around a lot. Like I went to group homes before, and I was in juvenile, so it was rocky. My childhood was rocky, but I wouldn't change anything because it just makes me who I am. So.
All right.
Yeah.
What were the? Did you have siblings, brothers and sisters? What was it like up in that household? And what inspired you to want to be a writer?
Well, I do. I have an older sister, and I have a little brother. I have two little brothers on my dad's side, but they live in Oklahoma. But I grew up here in Indiana with my older sister and my little brother. And, we get along for the most part. You know how siblings can be. We get along some days we don't. And basically, like when I was a child, I always wanted to write. I think everybody's blessed with something that they're passionate about. And I knew that I was passionate about writing. We used to have competitions in school where we would write books, and I would win those competitions a lot of the times, and they would place my books on the library shelves for like the remainder of the school years in elementary. And I just never did anything with them. We would just write them, and it was a coping mechanism for me. So I never did anything with them until I got older and decided I wanted to actually publish my books. But it's just what my go-to, how I vent, how I cope is through writing.
All right.
So that's what inspired me.
All right, no doubt. Who are some of the writers or authors that have inspired you to even want to write published material?
One writer that inspired me is Tyler Perry. I do like Tyler Perry because he writes about, like obstacles that adults face in the Black community, Black women, what they face. So I've always looked up to that because he started really small and then he grew it to be very successful. So he's one person I do look up to. And another writer of mine that I like is Jordan Peele. Like, the stuff that he writes is amazing that you would just never think about somebody writing. So he's amazing.
Okay, now you mentioned Tyler Perry and you mentioned Jordan Peele, mm-hmm. Two esteemed writers, mm-hmm. but both of those writers' work has made it to the big screen. Is the big screen something that you'll one day want to see your work?
Yes, I do. Absolutely. Yes.
Okay. All right. Now, I have to ask, being a writer and definitely admiring those two, what about their style made you want to write and let the world hear your messages and your stories?
Well, Tyler Perry, he doesn't write just about anything. He writes about realistic things that inspired him. Like he says a lot that his family is Medea. Like his family basically created his Medea. Like he has a Medea in his family. And it's always, a person who you look up to that inspires you, that helps others, maybe in the way that Medea does it or maybe in a way that Medea doesn't do it. But he gets inspired by the things around him, and that's how I relate to him because we talk about real things like mental health, family issues, mental issues that, the Black community go through. He writes about those things, and that's kind of how I relate to him. And Jordan Peele has an interest of mine because, like I said, he writes about things that you would not think about writing about, like the movie Get Out, for example. I've never seen a movie like that ever. And then when he wrote about Us, I've never seen a movie like that either. And he's also working on the new Candyman. So I'm very interested and excited to see that because he's just amazing to me. He inspires me just because of how different he is.
All right, yeah, you know what? When I heard that he was doing Candyman, I was really, really excited. Number one, I really enjoyed Candyman back in the day, and to see a writer so prolific as Jordan Peele to take it on, it makes me even more excited about seeing it when it comes out.
Yes, I'm so excited.
All right.
Yes.
Now, at what point did you realize that you wanted to write, but also at what point did you realize that you wanted to write children books?
So I've always actually only write children books. Like, that's all I've written. I am working on, of course, other things in the future, like chapter books, but I've always worked on children's books as a child myself. I just never published them. So I want to say when I was probably about 10 years old is when I started writing, but I didn't publish them. Like I said, I just would write them, put them in writing competitions, but it was probably around the age of 10. And then when I started aiming towards children, it's kind of more because as I get older, I realize that's where the obstacles are. That's where they start. So even when it comes to bullying, when it comes to children going through mental health, committing suicide, I don't know if you've seen the recent stories about all these children committing suicide. It's because it starts at home. People wonder how children can be so sad and upset. Well, it starts at home. So that's kind of what aimed me towards writing children's books and writing about obstacles they face and how they can, face those obstacles in a positive way instead of resulting in negative things.
Okay, no doubt. Now, are you a mother or were you just inspired? Because you said you started doing children's things when you were a child. Are you a mother as well, or you just always had that knack to tap into the children?
I've always had the knack to tap into the children because I feel like I relate to the children a lot with the things I went through with my childhood, but I am a mother as well.
Okay. Yes. So how do you balance the time between motherhood and writing books?
Oh, I just have, if you really love something, to do something, you find the time to do it. I do a lot of things. I mean, I still work full-time. I go to school full-time. I'm a mother, a wife. Like, I just have to find the time to do it. So, like, on the weekends when I'm off of work, I try to, just write little by little. A lot of the ideas are already in my head, so I just have to place them down on paper with the children's books. And then the chapter book that I'm working on, it takes time, but I just write a little bit when I can from time to time.
All right. So, look, at this point, you have 3 children books under your belt. You have one entitled Baxter the Bully, you have The Little Drummer, and you have Beautiful Black Butterfly. Let's take all 3 of those books and tell us a little bit about each book, starting with your first book, then your second, then your latest.
Okay. So Baxter the Bully out of these 3 would be the first. Baxter the Bully, he picks on students and he plays tricks on them, but he basically gets a taste of his own medicine at the end. And this book is aimed more towards the bully instead of the victim, because a lot of the time with bully books or even bullies on TVs, they look at the victims, but he's actually a victim himself because he's bullying for a reason. Bullies are always bullying for a reason. So once he realizes what he's doing, he ends up eventually stopping bullying. But it's just more aimed towards the bully so he can stop. And then I have Little Drummer. Little Drummer is a children's book about a small minority boy who basically smiles through his obstacles by doing something that he's passionate about doing. Like, we all have something that we love to do and what we're passionate about. His is playing the drums. So anytime that there's an obstacle that he's about to face, like whether he's getting made fun of or whether he doesn't have enough to eat that night or whether his parents are fighting, he plays his drums to get through it, and that's what helps him cope with his problems. So that's what Little Drummer is about. And then Beautiful Black Butterfly, that's the recent one that I published, and it's basically on a true story about one of my best friends. Her sister's daughter came up to me one day. She just kind of told me what happened with her at school regarding her dark skin. She was getting made fun of for it, so I was inspired to write a book about it. And basically this little girl who's bullied for her darker complexion, she meets a black butterfly who inspires her to embrace her natural beauty within herself. So that's what she ends up doing.
All right. All sound like amazing, interesting stories. I have to ask about illustration. How hard is it to find an illustrator to bring to life your book? Because having the story is one thing, but with children books, you definitely have to have illustration. How hard is it to find your illustrations?
Well, at first it was a challenge to try to find an illustrator because I had no idea on how publishing works or anything. I had to get the knowledge on a lot of things, but I ended up eventually finding an illustrator. His name is Dan Yaya, and he works with me on every one of my books. So I just tell him what I need, and we pretty much get out a game plan, and then he delivers them to me. So it was hard at first, though. It definitely was a challenge because some people who would bring the illustrations to me, like, for example, I had one person who was working on Baxter the Bully. That person couldn't end up finishing the project. I guess they got sick or something, but they couldn't end up finishing it. So then I had to find another illustrator who could make illustrations similar to what she had already done. But ever since I've had this new illustrator, they have always came with it exactly the way I envisioned it. And if it's something that I want tweaked, then they'll do it. So it was a challenge, but now I'm good with my illustrator.
All right, now, even with the illustration and someone else doing the illustration, do you have an idea in your mind when you're creating these stories on how you want these characters to look, or do you just leave it solely up to the illustrator?
It just depends on the book. Like Baxter the Bully, like that one was kind of freestyle for him. I just made sure that he knows that he's a bully, so he obviously needs to be kind of intimidating to other children. But Little Drummer and Black Butterfly, I wanted him to specifically make sure the characters can relate to the words because the Little Drummer, he's supposed to be in poverty. So if he's in poverty, then his clothes need to look like he's in poverty. If he's getting made fun of, he has to look like his clothes are not as popular as the other kids. And with Black Butterfly, I had to make sure that her skin complexion was darker than the other students. So it had to be relatable. But yeah, it just depends on the book, on how I have to have the illustrations with the characters.
Okay, let's talk about the time span between your three books. What was the time span in getting these three books written, illustrated, and published to the public?
I want to say about a year, about a little over a year, maybe about a year and 3 months, I want to say, to be exactly. Yeah, because I have to, once I do have the stories in my head, since I'm a self-publisher, I have to put everything together. So sometimes they can take some time. Sometimes with my illustrator, he might have some of the illustrations done, but he might not have all of them. And then my books are on Amazon. So when I go through their publishing services, I can preview of what the book will look like. And if it doesn't look right, I have to start over and kind of tweak it on how it should be. So it can take a little bit of time. But, yeah, it took probably about a little over a year to get those three together.
So, but you still able to put out, write, basically conceptualize, write, get illustrated, and publish 3 books in a year's time?
Yeah, well, a little over a year, but yeah.
All right, that's still some hard work. That's you getting it in. Tell me a little bit about the publishing process. Because I know a lot of people who probably want to write books but have no idea about the publishing process. How was that process for you?
The publishing process it just depends on kind of what route they want to go. Me, I wanted to be a self-publisher because I have dealt with publishers in the past, and I just thought that some of them, they might try to take advantage of you, and they also might try to change your image of how you want your overall book. So you have to kind of know what route you want to go. Some, like me, with the message that I have in my books, I just thought it would be best if I did self-publishing rather than go through a publisher. So first you have to decide kind of which route you want to go with being published or being self-published. And then if you go self-published, I mean, there is a couple of avenues. Some people go through Ingram Spark. Some people go through Amazon, Kindle Direct. Kindle Direct's a little easier to go through with publishing. And Ingram Spark, it's kind of a little bit more technical that you have to learn to go through them. But both of those avenues are for self-publishers. And then, of course, if you want to get published, you just have to find which publisher you want to go through and submit your work to them.
Okay. All right. Now, what has been the response by the general public to your 3 books?
Well, luckily, unfortunately, I have got good responses on them. I've had a lot of people interested. I've had children take pictures with the books. I've had parents, reach out and say, hey, I really like, what you're doing. I did have a child as well read my book, and he told me that, hey, I relate to the little drummer. I like this book. I can relate to it. So luckily, it has been good. I've been getting good feedback on it.
Okay. All right. Have you had a chance to do any book signings or readings on your information? Because I think it would be very dope if you were able to go into elementary schools or even daycares or pre-Ks or set up shop at libraries and read to children. Have you had a chance to do any type of self-promotion like that?
I haven't yet. I am working on some things. I do have a friend who he actually is working on that as well because he's actually friends with an IPS principal. So he's actually just got my work recently, and he's sending a preview over to the principal. But, yeah, I have thought about all of that and doing it. I wanted to actually put out a couple of more books before I start doing, like, a book signing. But I do plan on doing all of that, though, yes, I do.
Okay. All right. Now, how can people get a hold to your 3 books, whether it's the Kindle edition or the paperback edition?
They can go on Amazon. The easiest way, honestly, to find me is if you Google BriAnna Reshae, and that's BriAnna Reshae. If you Google that, it's the first link that pops up on Google. It'll take you to my author page, but you can also always go on Amazon and type in my name, BriAnna Reshae. I'm on Facebook. Books by Bri is on Facebook. Instagram as well, Books by Bri, and Twitter as well, Books_by_Bri. And then my links to my author page is all on there. And on my author page, you can click on every book that I made and purchase it via ebook or paperback.
All right. Now, if you had to say one of the 3 books is your favorite, which one would it be?
I want to say The Little Drummer is probably my favorite.
And why?
Because The Little Drummer it's made for children to understand it, but it has such a deep meaning in it. Like, the words are simple enough for small kids to read it, but the message is so deep within those small words. So that's probably why it's my favorite, because it talks about, like, the Black community, about a lot of things that the Black community goes through.
All right, no doubt. All right, now, what's in the works for you?
I am working on a chapter book right now, and I'm also working on a coloring book as well. Both of those will be my next projects. And the chapter book is going to be about, I write a lot of stuff about obstacles that children face, but this is going to be more about what teenagers face, because I think it's very important at that age for teenagers to kind of pay attention to what they're about to get into in their teenage life with peer pressure and the things surrounding that. So I'm writing a chapter book about what teenagers face, young adulthood, going into young adulthood. And then I'll be working on my coloring book as well. It'll be an I am ABC coloring book for children. So those are the two things that are in the works for me now.
All right. Okay, no doubt. So look, let's do this. Because this show, when I started this show 15 plus years ago, it was centered around music, and then I opened up to authors and philanthropists and just every walks of life. But I've always been one who loved performing art and people doing what they do. So I started having authors read portions of their books, kind of like I used to let MCs do freestyles. I would love for you to read us a portion of your book, of one of the books, whichever one of the three you choose.
Okay. All right. So I think since I said my favorite is Little Drummer, I'm going to just go ahead and read that. So let me open up this book here. Okay. Little drummer, play your drum. Play it just like the birds hum. When you start to hear your parents fight, play your drum all through the night. Play your drum when the kids laugh at your clothes. Play your drum when they plug their nose. Even when you don't have enough to eat, play your drum right to the beat.
90
and then
seconds.
I'm going to go to the last page. Play your drum when you see a police car. Play your drum, it's who you are.
No doubt, no doubt. Look, again, before I let you go, let the people know the title of your three books and where they can find them, and also let them know where they can find you on social media so they can keep up with your happenings and what you got going on.
Okay, so the three titles of my
60 seconds
are Baxter the Bully, The Little Drummer, and Beautiful Black Butterfly. My author name is BriAnna Reshae, so you can Google BriAnna Reshae. Also, you can follow me on social media. My Facebook is Books by Bree. That's BOOKS by BYBREE. Instagram, the same thing, Books by Bree. And then Twitter, Books_by_Bree.
All right. I appreciate you so much for coming on the show. Continued success. And I have to ask, when I go to your Instagram page, I feel like you're a model or a singer or a rapper. Have you heard that before?
Yeah, role model, yes.
10 seconds.
A long time ago.
You used to model?
Yes, I used to a long time ago, yes.
Okay, no doubt, no doubt. Well, again, continued success to you. Make sure you hit us up to come on the show when you publish your next book. Or if you're ever in the Atlanta area and you're interested in reading to some kids, holler at me. I know a lot of teachers who would love for you to come in their classroom and read to their children.
I definitely will. I actually want to come to Atlanta this year, so I definitely will. I got your information, so I'm going to definitely hit you up and keep your word on that.
All right. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful night.
Thank you for having me. Bye.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that was author BriAnna Reshae. Y'all make sure y'all check out her books. She got the dope children books. She's got 3 books for you to check out. She got The Beautiful Black Butterfly, The Little Drummer, and Baxter the Bully. All right? It's your boy, Vic XL. This is the Ridin Durty Show. Y'all definitely keep moving and shaking, and we'll be back sooner than you think. Peace. Have a blessed night.